Chapter 102, how do we show details? Well, this is a section through the window and the door head. And this is what the wall makeup looks like. And this is a traditional way of explaining details. Now, this is for visual purposes only, really. This is for our cover page, which we'll be making. And I'm just going to roll out to reveal what we'll be creating ultimately. This is one of 3 pages. So the 2D detail, traditionally a section or a plan view of something, which then starts to explain how these bits and pieces all go together. So what is the head connected to, what the materials are. There'll be annotation with those, as we can see on our details page. This is really what we're looking at. Now, whether you add color to these things to make them stand out a bit, or just are a bit of a traditionalist and go back to black and white, this is really what we are looking to achieve. We're trying to explain what all these bits and pieces are. And this is all well and good. People in the construction industry and people generally who are familiar with looking at plans understand this sort of thing. They can look at this and say, oh yeah, I get that. That's how that goes together. This is a bit of timber. This is fixed back to that. Battens, oh, we got a vapor barrier. Okay, I understand that. This is what's going on here. Is it a warm roof or cold roof? Is it vented or unvented? And because they may be familiar with the construction process, they don't need to know huge amounts of information. They just need to know what sort of timbers are we using, what sort of insulation are we using. That's the sort of information that some people require. They don't need detailed drawings to get things built because they're so familiar with the construction process. However, there are other people who might not be very familiar with this process and find it much easier to look at something in 3D, okay, to see how these things go together. The paring back of all the elements. Oh, I understand now. This looks like concrete. Okay, so I can see this is concrete. Oh, and it's got a brushed finish on it. Okay, I get that. What's this bit here? This is some insulation. Okay, what's this? So you can explain then maybe much more easily to a client how things are going to go together. So what we'll be doing in this series is we'll be using SketchUp to generate the 3D views, okay, by putting all of the bits and pieces together. Now, all the bits and pieces have been made, so we don't have to make every single thing. So there'll be blocks provided, there'll be makeups of insulation and stucco. All of these bits and pieces are just really just to drag and drop into place. But what we'll be then doing is looking at how we can represent the 2D from the 3D. So using some various techniques. So once we know in 3D that it works, because how can it not work if it's put together in 3D, then we can ensure that the 2D detail will also be correct. Okay, so as far as showing details, this is what we'll be doing. And hopefully that will make some sort of sense. So you can read the elements together and think, oh, okay, I get that. The other important question, which we'll answer in the next exercise, is what do we show? Okay, because there are so many different bits and pieces for a building. If you just think that this is a smallish house and we've already got, a lot of information going on there, what happens with a massive project, like a big skyscraper, for example? How do we get to the bottom of all those details? So understanding what details to show is going to be the next question.